This video includes the demonstrations from the Acquisitions Technical Group meeting from September 20th, 2023. It does not include a recording of the entire meeting. I included a number of demonstrations and reminders on the agenda for the Acquisitions Technical Group meeting. In the packet, I included links to the instructions for the client and LEAP so that you can become familiar with both applications. The first two demonstrations on the agenda are miscellaneous invoices and shipping and processing charges. I have included these topics today because I found a number of bibliographic records without items that were used for subscriptions, credit memos, ebook collections, and shipping or book processing charges. These bibliographic records are not necessary for invoicing these types of situations. First, I'm going to demonstrate miscellaneous invoices. Miscellaneous invoices do not need to be connected to bibliographic records. These can be used for subscriptions, ebook collections, and any other type of payment for something that will not need a bibliographic record that is visible in the pack. First, I'm going to demonstrate this in the client, and then I will use LEAP. In the client, press the new icon that looks like a piece of paper. In the View drop-down menu, you can filter the list for acquisitions objects. Then select Invoice and press OK. Type in the invoice number, then open the Type drop-down menu. Select Miscellaneous from the drop-down menu. I'm going to select Evanston Public Library as an example. Now press the Find button to select your supplier. I will use EBSCO Subscription Services for this supplier. Then press Save. There are two ways that you can use a miscellaneous invoice for invoicing a subscription. You can either choose to add it as a line item or a header charge. First, I'm going to demonstrate the line items. Click on the second icon on the left-hand side. This is the line items view. To add a line item, click on the new icon to add a line item. You do not need to link this line item to a bibliographic record. All you need to do is type in the title, add in the unit price, the quantity. You can also select a collection, but it's not required. Then select your fund and press Save. Now you can pay the invoice. If you wanted to add a subscription fee as a header charge, you could do that instead of creating the line item. In the Header Charges section on the General View, open the Type drop-down menu and select a service. Type in the amount, then select your fund. Press Add to add the header charge. Next, save the invoice and press Pay. Now, I'm going to demonstrate the same thing in LEAP. To create a miscellaneous invoice, open the new drop-down menu, then select Invoice. The new invoice workform opens. Type in the invoice number, then open the Type drop-down menu. Select Miscellaneous from the list. I'm going to select Evanston as the example again. Next, press Find to select the supplier. I'm going to select EBSCO Subscription Services for my supplier, then save the invoice. As I demonstrated in the client, you can choose to invoice a subscription by using the line item or the header charges. So first I'll demonstrate adding the line item. Click on the Line Items tab. To add a line item, select New Line Item. You don't need to link the invoice to a big control number. All you need to do is type in a title for the subscription, scroll down to the price section and add in a price, then click on the Segments tab. To add a segment, press New Segment, add in the quantity, select a collection. This is optional. Then select a fund. Next, press OK. After you've added the segment, save the line item and close the line item record. Press Refresh so that you can see the line item. Then, to pay the invoice, you can open the Actions drop-down menu and press Pay. If you wanted to use the Charges section instead of adding a line item, you can do that. Click on the Charges tab. In the Header Charges section, press Add Charge. An Add Header Charge dialog box will open. Select the type, I'll choose Service, add in the price, then select a fund, and press OK. Then you can pay your invoice. At the meeting, one of the attendees asked for a demonstration on credits for a credit memo. There is something that Leave can do that's the client cannot do. It allows you to use that header charges, the miscellaneous invoice, to input the credit and then credit the fund. In the client, you have to credit a line item that exists or credit an invoice that already has line items. Alternatively, if you wanted to use the client, you could also adjust the expenditures and type in a note. First, I'm going to demonstrate this in Leave. To create the invoice for the credit memo, open the new drop-down menu and press Invoice. Type in the new invoice's number, then change the type to Miscellaneous. I'll use Evanston as an example again. Then press Find to add the supplier. I will select EBSCO Subscription Services again and press Open, then save the record. Credits can be added to the Header Charges section. Click on the Charges tab, then scroll down to the bottom. In the Header Charges section, press Add Charge, select Credit from the Type drop-down menu, type in the amount, then select the fund. Next, press OK to add the header charge. You can see in the amount section that the amount is in parentheses so that that amount is subtracted from the fund. When you open the Actions drop-down menu, you can see that you can press the Credit button instead of the Pay button. When you do so, you would have to type in the number for the check or voucher and then press Credit. In the client, Polaris only allows you to credit an invoice if a line item is included in the invoice. You can find the Credit button in the Tools drop-down menu. If you use this Credit button, it will credit the full invoice. If there are multiple line items on an invoice, you would be able to open a line item and credit that one specific line item record. Alternatively, you have the ability to apply a credit by adjusting the expenditures. To do so, open a fund record. In the Tools drop-down menu, select Adjust Fund Balances. A dialog box will open. Click on Manually Adjust Total Expended. Type in the credit as a negative number and add a note to the note field, then press OK. Now, I'm going to move on to shipping and processing charges for regular invoices. I've noticed that some libraries add a line item that is linked to a bibliographic record for these types of charges. There is a separate section for these charges called Header Charges that is in the General View. Instead of adding a line item, open the Type drop-down menu to select the type of charge. I'm going to select Shipping for this example. Then type in the amount and select a fund code. Next, press Add. To add in cataloging processing charges, open the Type drop-down menu and select Cataloging Services. You can also select Other or Service. Add in the amount and select the fund, then press Add. Next, save the invoice and press Pay. Now, I'm going to demonstrate this in Leap. I've opened up an invoice for an example. In Leap, charges have their own tab. Click on the Charges tab and then scroll down to the bottom to find the Header Charges section. To add a charge, click Add Charge, open the Type drop-down menu, and select the type of charge. I'll press Shipping, add in the amount, and select the fund. Next, press OK to add the charge. If you'd like to add cataloging processing charges or any other service charge, click Add Charge again. Open the Type drop-down menu and select the type of charge. Type in the amount and select the fund, then press OK. You can add as many header charges as you'd like, or even add credits. To pay the invoice, open the Actions drop-down menu and press Pay. The next demo is bulk adding the 970 field to on-order records. Every once in a while I get a ticket about items that were created with the wrong template. This happens when libraries have multiple templates using the same collection and material type combination. These libraries can take advantage of the item template code when they get vendor records from the vendors that provide 970s. However, you may occasionally buy titles from non-English language vendors that may provide records with no 970s, or from vendors that provide no on-order records at all. You can still take advantage of the 970 field's capabilities to bulk add titles to purchase orders by adding the 970 to the record manually or bulk adding it to the records in a record set. This will allow you to take advantage of the ability to bulk add the titles to the purchase order and store the 970 subfield H for the item template. I'm going to mostly demonstrate this in the client, but I'll also point out how to find the bulk change button in Leap. The bulk change options in the client and Leap are the same. I've already opened up the record set for an example. I know that there's some vendors that do provide you with records without 970, so when you load these, they are already put into a record set. However, if your vendor does not provide you with MARC records, you will need to add the titles to a record set according to the combination of fund code and item template, so you can add the same 970 field. I've put some random nonfiction records into a record set to demonstrate adding the 970 field. To set up the bulk change, click on this icon that looks like two columns with an arrow below it. This opens the Bibliographic Record Bulk Change dialog box. Click on Data Fields tab, open the Operations drop-down menu, and select Insert a New Tag. Change the tag number to 970. Before you can add the 970 field to the queue, you need to build the field. So I'm going to now add in the subfield L, add the location code into the text box, and then press Add. I'm going to change the subfield to my next subfield and type in a fund, then press Add. Next, I'll type in subfield H for the item template code, type in the item template code, and then press Add. Lastly, I'm going to type in subfield Q for the quantity and type in 1 and then press Add. If you do need to change the quantity to a different quantity for some of the items, you will need to do so manually. Also, you cannot bulk add the price to the 970 field since the price will be different for all of the items. When you bulk add the titles to the purchase order, you will need to use the default price of 1 cent to identify which ones will need to be manually edited. Next, press Add Change to Queue. This will add the change to the queue because you can add more than one bulk change at a time. Then press OK to execute the bulk change. You will see a screen that lists the summary of all of the changes. Press Continue to execute the change. Then press OK in the next dialog box. All bibliographic bulk changes are added to a queue. The bulk change is not completed immediately because the records do need to be locked in order to make the change. To navigate to the bulk change report, click on Utilities and then Cataloging Processing. Next, select Bibliographic Bulk Change Queue from the list. If the bulk change is the first one that says pending, you can press refresh until it says completed. When the bulk change is completed, you can double-click on the row in order to view the report. The report will show the number of changes they were able to make and any errors that may have happened. I've opened the same record set in Leap. Now I'm going to demonstrate how to find that bulk change button. You can find it under the Top Actions drop-down menu. Then click on Bulk Change. The bulk change options are the same as in the client. You would need to click on Data Fields, and then in the Operations drop-down menu, select Insert a New Tag. Then you would be able to add each of the subfields. The next topic that we discussed was standardizing and creating new records for video games. We have a number of bibliographic templates that you can copy and alter for each of the video game platforms. You can find the bibliographic templates by opening the Cataloging drop-down menu, selecting Templates, and then Bibliographic. You can limit by owner to find any of the bibliographic templates that are owned by Cooperative Computer Services, and search for an asterisk to bring up all of the bibliographic record templates. If you scroll towards the bottom, you can see that there are a number of video game templates that you can choose from. Several have been already created for video game platforms. So I'm going to open up this one for Xbox One. You can see that it already has Xbox One in the 250, 500, and 753 fields. To copy a template, you can press that new icon that looks like a piece of paper and press Copy Existing Work Form, and then press OK. You can change the template owner to your library, but the owner of the bibliographic record still needs to be Cooperative Computer Services with SYS in parentheses. You can make any desired changes and then press Save. One thing that did happen at the acquisitions meeting was the attendees decided to pass a new motion on adding the platform to the 245 or title field in parentheses. You can go ahead with updating all of your bibliographic templates. I've typed an example of the 245 field in this record. Xbox One was taken from the 753 field and placed in parentheses after the title of the game. Then you can save the record. When you add in the platform after the title of the game, you should take the format from the 753 field. You can find information on the 753 field on the Catalogers Wiki. To navigate to the wiki, you can start from the CCS webpage. Below the picture, you'll find a link to the Catalogers Wiki. In the search box, type video games, and you'll find the page labeled Software, Computer Games, and Video Games. Feel free to consult with the catalogers at your library to see if they'd like anything else in the on-order record. If you scroll down to the bottom of the record, you will find the system details for the video game platforms. If you need to make any other on-order templates, please copy the format of the system details on the Catalogers Wiki page into the 753 field. There's one more demonstration that I'd like to include in this video. That's tips for identifying locked records. You can easily identify locked records by using the import report. Each locked record has a warning message labeling it as locked. To find those, press Ctrl then F and type in locked or lock into the search box, then press Enter. You can navigate to the next one by clicking on the arrows in the search box. You can see that this bibliographic record has a warning that says that the bibliographic record cannot be locked for you to use because someone else has already locked the record and is currently using it. This will allow you to identify the locked records without looking at each message. Other tips were provided during the meeting that included looking for records in the purchase order that used the default price of 1 cent or had the wrong quantity. One library likes to use a default fund to label the items with an alert message. The fund has the name of alert in it. If you have any other questions on these topics, please email me at help@ccslib.org.